So, there are lots of videos and websites saying that Starmer is finished, that he doesn't have long to go. There are any number of websites calling for his dismissal. There's even a petition here. There's even a petition. And if we look at all of this, here we have, the Green Party warns Labour could form one-term government. Keir Starmer's election honeymoon, is it over already? Labour insiders fear Keir Starmer will only survive one term. Why Sir Keir Starmer could turn out to be a one-term Prime Minister. Keir Starmer is a disgrace to the British Labour Party. And then there's the petition. Yeah, good luck with that. And there are all sorts of pundits writing about what a failure he is and discussing whether he's an evil man or simply a middle management apparatchik promoted above his competence. Yeah, there's all that stuff. But you know what? The problems of a few outraged pundits and some freezing pensioners don't amount to a hill of beans for this crazy government. Whatever you think, whatever you say, however much you might hate them and however much you might be victimised by them, Starmer and his government are here to stay. I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. When the pre-election Keir Starmer kept banging on about change, we didn't realise that he was talking about the spare change out of Lord Ali's pocket, did we? And his government isn't even 10 weeks in, and there are already scandals about a multi-millionaire buying access to Number 10 and to the Starmer family. And then there's the disastrous, chaotic incompetence of letting dangerous criminals out to roam the streets, unprepared for freedom, with no arrangements made for accommodation. And then there's the cronyism, which has suddenly come to light. Party workers and donors finding themselves promoted into prestigious and well-paid appointments in the senior ranks of the civil service. And of course, there are the lies. The £22 billion black hole, for instance, which suddenly yawned into existence only after they'd got into government. And there's the Prime Minister standing in front of TV cameras and telling the British people that the riots following the Southport massacre were planned, executed and organised by the EDL, an organisation which has not existed for over 10 years. And all this has happened in a few weeks. But, well, I don't quite know how to break this to you, my friends, but Starmer is anything but finished. I'm sorry to have to tell you that, but he's here for the long haul. Let's look at this reasonably. Who's going to dislodge him? He has a 5-year term if he wants, and who's going to succeed him? Most of the Labour MPs are second and third raters, with the exception, of course, of David Lammy, because he's probably a fourth rater, but I can't actually assess that because, some rankings are beyond measurement, aren't they? As for the rest of the cabinet, well, there's the repellently self-righteous Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, I have to remind you, who's so ignorant of the law that she makes comments through the Home Office X page, boasting that detained citizens are guilty before they've even set foot in a courtroom. Who's next? his deputy, Angela Rayner, who was probably wearing that suit. Oh, yes, of course. I'll put, that way. I'll put that picture up there. She was probably wearing that suit to remind herself that she is now completely minted. At least Starmer looks like a politician and not like someone who seems to have just rocked up at 2 a.m. at an all-night caff because she got thrown out of the club. And during the fight she had with the bouncers, she lost her house keys. Then there's Rachel Reeves, who's already been called, now here we are, the most incompetent, the most incompetent Chancellor of the Exchequer in decades. And then there's this guy, could not have done worse than this. Yeah, and I've saved the best to the last. That permanent embarrassment, David Lammy. Okay, you may be thinking now that I've already spoken about him, but the point is that his idiocy is so outstanding that one mention just wouldn't be enough to describe the universe of stupidity he inhabits. This is a man who went on Celebrity Mastermind and answered every single question wrong. As a matter of fact, I tell a lie, because some of them he just passed without attempting to answer them. And it's not that he didn't know the answers that bothers me. I mean, look, who doesn't think that Henry VIII's son must have been Henry VII? And how many times have you absent-mindedly suggested that it was Marie Antoinette who got the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903? No, be reasonable. What bothers me is that he actually agreed to appear on the show in the first place. I mean, he actually thought he was good enough to answer general knowledge questions on a high-pressure show like Mastermind. That man is a living embodiment of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Mind you, 90% of the party is probably just as Dunning-Kruger in their own way. But as DK as they may be, they are not at Darwin Award levels of self-destructive stupidity. Even the Dunning-Kruger are endowed with an instinct for survival. They may not be all that bright, but they know what side of the bread their butter is. And as they sit there in their comfortable benches in the debating chamber of the House of Commons, quietly totting up their salaries, their expenses, their heating allowances, and their tax relief, I'm 100% sure, I'm 150% sure that they are all absolutely aware that they are there only because of Starmer. They're going to stick around him because when he goes, they go. No, Starmer has had the good sense to surround himself with NPCs, and he's well in place, and he will be well in place for the next 5 years. And there's nothing we can do to dislodge him, so get that thought out of your mind right now. But we can do something, because we can make it difficult for him. And how we do that is by voting for opposition parties in the next local elections. Whatever your politics, anything but Labour should be your watchword. Vote Conservative if you must, in the places where the councils are going to be a good chance of being Conservative anyway. And vote Reform everywhere else. It's just a few months, folks. Wait for it. And tell your friends as well. If you're worried about losing them, just remember, if you lose friends over trenchant political opinions, they probably weren't your friends anyway. Go for it. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels anti-donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.